Earth to Richter Dawn. We need you.
Yeah. So I just saw Weapons just now. And one of the craziest movies slash best movies I've seen. You know, I went into this movie thinking it was going to be a horror film, tons of blood, tons of jump scares. And it was more of a suspense. It was more of a thriller. And, I saw a post online and the young lady said, go and see Weapons. That is the post. Like, I have nothing more to say. Just go see it. And I mostly went into the movie without any preconceived judgment. Didn't look at too much, not the trailer, not too much. But yeah, it's as good as you probably think. Probably better. There were points in this movie where I was like, please don't go off yet. This is getting so intense. This is getting so fun. I don't want the movie to end. Like that happened at least 3 times where I was like, please don't end right now because I'm just like really enjoying what I'm watching. They did this really cool thing that I've probably never seen or I've seen very vaguely in films. They showed the movie from at least, I want to say, 5 to 6 characters' perspective. And some of those perspectives overlooped. So you would see a scene from one person's perspective, then you'd see it from another person's perspective, and some of those scenes will intersect. It was genius. And the way they pulled it off was spectacular. Now, if you are wondering what this movie is about, like why is it called Weapons? That's pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting title. They did sneak in a little reference to let us know why they called it Weapons, and I thought it was pretty clever. I'm not sure if you want to know this stuff. I'm kind of conflicted. I don't know if you want to know this stuff or you want me to just keep it very vague. So I'll try to do a little bit of both. But this movie does involve how do you say it? Hypnosis. It does involve hypnosis, and there's a really crazy person in this film that hypnotizes people, and she is extremely effective. And one of the biggest questions I came out of the theater wanting to know is this stuff real? And I'm pretty sure it is. I don't think it's as effective as it is in the film, but I do think that the black arts are alive and well. I really believe that. And this film seems to know a little bit more about it than I do, right? Because there's a lady in this film that's just hypnotizing people very quickly, very easily. And I'll say this, it did teach me a couple of lessons. I did learn after leaving the theater, don't ever trust anybody. Don't trust anybody. Because I don't know if people can hypnotize you this easily, but I'm pretty sure people are often misguided by certain individuals on a daily basis. Whether it be the music you listen to, like if you listen to Shake That Butt every day, like don't be surprised if you're online shaking your butt. That's all I'm saying. It's like crazy. But I'll also say, coming out of the theater, I definitely wrote a little memo to myself like, hey, don't ever trust anybody. Don't give anything that you own to anybody because you don't know what they're going to use it for. Because this particular villain, she uses something personal to you to be able to control you. And it's insane how she does it. Like I feel like a lot of that needs to be saved for you to go see. I don't want to give you every detail of the movie. I just want to tell you that I really enjoyed it. Now, in terms of a rating, I think most people would say this is about a 7 to a 9. Okay, I think for those people who go in, they're kind of grossed out by some of the stuff that happens later in the movie. Maybe the plot is a little overwhelming. They might go 7. But I think most horror fans are fans of movies like this. They're gonna go 9 or higher. But I'm gonna go 7 to 9. For me, I'm gonna go. This is a easy 8.8 for me. I just enjoyed it a lot. All right. And typically, when it comes to these kind of movies, I'll say, well, I enjoyed it up until this point, or they messed up the ending, or they did something wrong here. It really didn't have any errors. It really didn't have any. They didn't really make any mistakes. Like the whole movie from beginning to end was tight. There was a very small sequence somewhere in the middle where I was like, okay, where's this going? But I feel like that's a compliment because they kind of had me guessing up until they revealed what they wanted me to know. And once I found out what they wanted me to know, it was off and running from there. But I do recommend this film, in fact. And, I would say be careful. I found myself wondering if the Hollywood, because I believe that the movie industry is satanic. So I'm feeling like, why wouldn't they sprinkle some of that stuff into the movie to, catch unsuspecting people off guard while they're watching a movie. So every time that little bell came on the screen, I'm damn near closing my eyes. I don't, but I'm protected by Jesus Christ. Thank God. And no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And speaking of weapons, that's the name of the movie. So I was good. But it's good to understand and learn the tactics of the other side. It's very good to do that. So if you're wondering why I went to go see it, that's one of the bigger reasons. But let me give you a little bit more than that. I feel like somebody like, yo, Rick, I appreciate that, but give me a little bit more. Okay, I got you. A little bit more. So what happens is all these kids disappear out of the classroom. And you immediately think it's the teacher, but it's not. It's not the teacher. Believe it or not, it's not the teacher. I thought it was a teacher. It wasn't her. It turns out it was the little boy's auntie. What the freak? So there's one kid, Alex, and this is how you know the movie really stuck with me because I know their name. I know Justine. I know Alex. I know Marcus. I don't know why. That's how you know the movie was, gravitational. But anyway, the kids, mostly disappeared due to the one kid who wasn't affected. And that was the biggest question I had. Like, why was he the only one that wasn't affected? Like, when I went into this movie, I said to myself, obviously, this is about hypnosis because I saw a little bell in the poster, the movie poster. So I knew it was about hypnosis. So I said, maybe the teacher hypnotized all the kids and blah, blah. That is not what happened. So Alex, his auntie did it because she moved into his house maybe a week or so before all the kids, went out into the night. And that auntie clearly practices witchcraft, right? And she gets the mother and father first. Those are the first ones that are victimized by this dark magic. And it's so interesting how it worked. I'm like, yo, what the heck? Like, if it worked that way, if it's really that effective, that's terrifying to know that someone can basically remove your soul from your body. That's pretty much what it was. It's like the person was a prisoner in their own body almost, if that makes sense. But she starts off with the parents and, Alex's parents. And it's mainly because she's getting weak. She's dying. So she's trying to get life force. And it turns out that Alex's mother and father are not strong enough, maybe because they're older, to really rejuvenate her. So she gets this clever idea to take all the kids from Alex's classroom, which was kind of silly in hindsight because it's like, why would you do that? Like the FBI is going to be on this. Like when 17 kids go missing, like if there was anything that the movie didn't do a good job at, they did not do a good job with emphasizing the real pressure that would have come about should this have happened in real life. Now they're saying this is a true story, and I'm not sure how it is because no one's heard of it. At least I don't know anybody who's ever heard of it. But that's maybe the one thing I would say they could have done a little bit better at, which is really capturing the real emotion behind 17 kids going missing. Okay, I just don't feel like they did that enough. Like, for real. There are parents out there, had their kid gone missing in this manner, they would have been at the teacher's door banging on it day and night until they found answers, right? So that's that. But I mean, I'll leave it there. I feel like that gives you a little bit more, but without going over the top. And trust me, it's pretty dope. Pretty dope. Yeah. All right, yo. Peace.